Ndewo. Ndewo
Ndewo.
is an Igbo Nigerian word that means long life to all of you. And that is what I hope and pray for each one of you gathered here, wherever you are, underneath the sound of my voice. Let me start by welcoming you to another wonderful episode of Chiism Live. It's always a pleasure to welcome you because when I see you, when I know you're here, I know that God, Chineke, is working overtime. That means you are walking along amongst the living. So for that, we are definitely very grateful. We also want to thank the ancestors for their guidance and to continue to do so, to continue to guide us. I am very excited about this show. But before we go any further, I would like to invite you to join us. Okay, somebody, okay. I'd like to invite you to join us, if you will, on our Facebook page, Global Faith Ministries of Chiism. And that is on our Facebook page. And we'll also like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chiism of Africa. It's one word. And if you want to know a little bit more about us, go to chiism.org. That is our website. I am, incidentally, we're also on Instagram. You can find us on Instagram. It's still Chiism, one word. Chiism of Africa, one word. So now that you know how to get in touch with us, it is my pleasure to bring quite an exciting show to you. This is exciting to us because we have some very special guests today. We have some of the grandchildren of the founder of Chiism, Gordianism, Emeka Onyioha and Onyioha, Ngozi Onyioha. It's amazing. They had 10 children, or they lost 2. So they have 8 living children. They've got 17 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. So that means that their legacy continues to go up and up and up. And so today you're going to get an opportunity to meet some of these wonderful young people. You see, Nigeria is going to need the help of our young people to move it forward. Not just Nigeria, actually, all of Africa. And these young people, I am so excited because their mindset is powerful and they have a lot to offer. I also want to invite you to write on Facebook page. You can write your comments and we'll be sure to read your comments on this show. Let me introduce you to some really exciting. Now, before I even introduce these young people, last week you had an opportunity to meet 2 of their KOK's grandsons, Nnamdi Onyioha Osimiri, Uba Nnayiremugo Onyioha, and then one granddaughter, Adora Onyioha Osimiri. So it's just a phenomenal group, and all of them doing exciting things and prepared to add to what's going on in Nigeria, their thoughts and their aspirations. So that's what we're here to talk about. Who are they? What do they want to do? Let me introduce you first and foremost to, she's my niece, Amani. Amani, how are you?
I'm good.
Amani Wells-Onyioha. And the next person is Kama Onyioha. Kama, how are you? Kama, I can't hear you. Okay, he's gonna work on his mic. Work on your mic.
No, my mic was off. Sorry.
Okay, there you go. Emeka Onyioha. Emeka, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm good. Life's good.
What did you say? Emeka is a future computer software engineer, right? Am I right?
Excuse me?
You didn't say anything. Emeka, you're a computer scientist in the future, right? That's your aspiration. As you begin to speak, I'm going to have information about you scrolling on the screen. Let us start right now by asking a few questions. Let's see. I have a special nephew. I just inherited a special nephew. Magnus, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Auntie.
now tell me, Krakue, right? I've got it right.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
I've got it right? Okay. So welcome, all of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to have you join us today. And Magnus, you are studying to be an engineer, if I'm not mistaken?
Logistics and supply chain, yes, to be exact.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we have another person that we're expecting. He's not here yet. So I am going to start by asking a question. Now, let me say this. Feel free, when one person has answered the question, if you have something you want to contribute to it, do not hesitate. Just raise your hand so I can see that you want to join the conversation, okay? Let me start, first of all, by asking each one of you to introduce yourself. I think that would be the appropriate thing to do. And I'm going to start with Amani.
Okay. My name is Amani Wells-Onyioha. I'm currently a marketing and communication specialist for a company called Compass USA. I'm working in the K-12 sector, so we do all of the catering and food and all type of stuff like that for different school districts across the country. And in my role currently, I'm responsible for just making sure everything is being marketed, keeping everybody on the same page as far as what's going on in the corporation and things like that, and then doing different type of digital marketing campaigns, promotions, events, and things like that. So I got my first degree. My bachelor's was in marketing, and then I got my master's last year in journalism. So now I'm kind of getting to do a little bit of both. I get to write, I get to market. So that's what I'm doing right now. And my daddy is UD Onyioha.
Thank you so much. And now I'd like to introduce Emeka.
Hello, everybody. My name is Amani Wells-Onyioha, and I'm a nursing student right now at Pierce College. As far as everything goes, I am going through different programs and clubs as far as Black improvement in schools. I'm currently working towards my bachelor's in nursing and hopefully aspiring to get into medical school. That's it.
What kind of medicine are you interested in?
You were cutting off.
Can you hear me now? What kind of medicine are you interested in studying?
Oh, anesthesiology.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So. But
Fantastic.
As far as like before I get into that, I want to work in ER so I can get more experience.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce.
My name is Emeka Onyioha. Currently, I am a senior in Spraberry High School. I plan to enroll Kennesaw State University. My major is going to be a computer science. I'm very invested in that. Yeah, that's pretty much it about me. I'm also the son of UD Onyioha, and yeah, pretty much.
Thank you so much. And then my young friend here, who happens now to be my new nephew. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Magnus Krakue, Jr. I'm a supply chain management and logistics student at Kennesaw State University. I'm currently studying for my bachelor's degree, and I have a job in my field actually as a customer account specialist for a company called XPO Logistics, and I'm trying to just further my knowledge in that field to get a better leg up in the industry. And I just hope to gain more knowledge about what I want to do in the future as far as that goes. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now, Chinemeze. Chinemeze.
I'm good, Auntie. How are you? Hello?
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Chinameza Ezala. I'm currently attending Birmingham Charter High School in Los Angeles County. Right now, I'm striving towards a career and anywhere in the business world, but I plan on studying like statistics, and economics when I get to college, but I'm not too sure about how everything works. So, no, I'm not fully prepared like everybody else.
Well, Chinemeze, you were in Nigeria. Tell us a little bit about that experience while you were in Nigeria.
Well, honestly, I really didn't feel like I had friends there because I mean we had like different cultures, I guess. So it's sort of like a culture shock trying to find out how everybody else works and how everybody else socializes with other people. So it was sort of difficult a little bit now that I think of it because everybody's competing over there actually. No, this doesn't really feel like there's friends there. So people are competing with each other and everybody's very smart and competitive. So that was my experience in short words.
Okay. Okay, I have some questions for you all. As you all know, Nigeria is one of Africa's greatest. Now, I'm not prejudiced, but it is the truth. It's one of Africa's greatest nations, but it's going through struggles today. And many of you feel that some of the things that I've heard from a lot of young people is that they're not being included in what's going on in Africa, in Nigeria in particular. And there are so many challenges going on. So my question to you, and any one of you can feel free, just raise your hand if you want to answer so I know it's you. Based on your aspirations, your future goals, how do you think that you can use that to address some of the challenges going on in Nigeria? And what are those challenges as you see it?
Okay.
Okay, who wants to go? Okay.
I'll go.
Amani.
I think one of the most important things that you can do is make sure that you're giving the people and the citizens of Nigeria a platform. It's hard to make global change when nobody really knows what's going on. And I know here recently, I've just been more aware of all of the political corruption that's going on in Nigeria and the SARS and the police brutality that's going on there because of social media. And I think it's important to put a flashlight on what's going on, because once it gets international attention, it'll be harder for certain things to continue to go unnoticed, and it'll apply pressure to the government there and make people have to make certain changes, because now you're on the global stage, everybody's looking at you, everybody can see what's happening, and it's easy to, be corrupt when nobody knows what's going on. So I think first and foremost, just being able to showcase what's happening can produce a lot of positive change.
Absolutely. Anyone else want to add to that?
Yeah, for as far as just piggybacking off of what Amani said, was just in regards to politics. I was having a conversation with my parents about this when it comes down to the politics in Nigeria. When you want to actually build something out there, it seems to always get in the way because people are playing a position of power all the time and somebody always wants their back scratched. So I had more questions than answers when it came down to what I wanted to do in Nigeria as far as like medicine and building infrastructure for the people there. Because that's what I see is really needed the most personally, is the infrastructure and the medicine, as far as that being built and being able to, reach a large amount of people as far as getting the people who can't afford it the most. So if anything, I think the politics in Nigeria would have to get settled out first and foremost before anything else. But exposure might help that as well if, the government cares about their image.
Mm-hmm.
Exposure, international exposure, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Very good, thank you. Okay.
Yes, I'd like to piggyback off of what Kama just said in regards to staying informed. That's one of the biggest things and most important things you can do as any person, any African man or woman, child, whether you are Pan-African or Native African, you can still stay informed, and that's just one of the best ways to actually address a situation. Well, that is the only way to address a situation before you can do anything about the situation. Because before you can actually address a problem, you have to know what that problem is and what that problem really conceptualizes. And I think one of the biggest problems is just one, staying informed, and two, I noticed something about the population in Nigeria. In my statistics class last semester, there was an age distribution curve, and most of the people in Nigeria are young men and women. So them growing up, they are literally the face of the country going forward. So those people do have to put it on their shoulders. We as Pan-Africanisms, we have to put it on our shoulders to just learn, ask questions, and do what we can for everybody as a society.
Okay, thank you. Emeka, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I would say one of the things I feel like that how I could possibly put on exposure to this type of situation is like, as you know, I didn't really send you the link, but I have a YouTube channel and I talk about these type of situations where I feel like they don't really get on the news or whatever, or just something that I'm thinking, because we all have a type of mindset and we all just think in different ways. And I feel like it's like the exposure thing that everyone was talking about. It's just more of making sure you're self-informed and not ignorant and stuff like that. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
So for all of you, your opinion right now is it's important to expose what's going on in Nigeria. But how do you
sort of
personally
self-improve.
Contribute to that? And what did you say? Who said that?
Self-improve. I said self-improve.
Raise your hand if you're speaking, so I can see you. Who is that?
I was saying that. Yeah, I was just saying also self-improvement. I mean, there's a lot of steps and ways to go, but I feel like once I guess unity, I guess you can say, it might take small steps, but eventually it'll get better as a society,
Yeah, he's right, because when these protests started, it was only a matter of time. It didn't just come out of nowhere. The organization that everybody's protesting against in Nigeria was actually created in 1992. So since then, think about all this time. That's about what, 24 years since. So, it's just, that's like an accumulation of all those years of people just going unannounced, not listening, not having their voices heard by their local constituents and whatnot. So, if you just look at it, it's like a melting pot just ready to blow up.
We're going to talk a little bit more further down the line on SARS. Chinemeze, is there anything you would like to add before I move on to the next question?
Well, a little neat idea that I came up with is I also forgot, I left out supply chain and demand that I wanted to study in college. And I was thinking that I could also get into supermarketing to help locals in areas apart from Nigerians who can't afford a lot of things from places like what's that one store called? What's that one store called? The supermarket. That's very fluctuated prices. The prices are very
the prices are inflated, right?
No, Whole Foods. It's in Nigeria.
What was it again?
It's in Nigeria. I forgot.
Right something. It's right something. I can't think of the last word. It's right.
It's that one that would always go to an Abia state.
Yeah, well, it's run by the Indians, right? Or South Africa.
By the Indians or South Africans. I forgot what they're called. It was just it was that store, but I was just thinking that maybe I can sort of test that and create my own like supermarketing brand or something like that, and create like cheaper prices for people who aren't very financially as fortunate as Nigerians who have like executive jobs and are like day-to-day laborers walking around with, things that they sell handmade, if that, if that makes sense.
Those things are so expensive. Some of those things are like 5, 6, 7,000. When you're making $100 or to $200, 200 naira a day, how can you afford such a thing? That's a good idea. Setting up some kind of shop that poor people can. And I hate to use that word poor, but those individuals who are not as privileged can afford. Okay, thank you for those answers. I want to ask you. Nigeria has some challenges. That's why I always say it's important to read. And I think Magnus did emphasize that. It's important to read about what's going on before you can even comment on it. So I want to ask, which one of you can tell me what is the greatest challenge Nigeria has right now, based on what you know? What is the greatest challenge? What is keeping us technically from being able to be as competitive as we can? As a young person who has the potential of going to Nigeria to live, what is it you would say will keep you from going? Nothing really should, but what would you say will keep you from going home?
I can go. I think
Emeka raised her.
Based off of my understanding, I feel like it's the disconnect in culture and the realization of the resources that Nigeria or Africa has in general. That's what I was talking about earlier about unity. I feel like once we actually come as one, which is currently going on, then we can actually improve as a society and as a country and as a continent. So yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Good. I see all those hands going up.
I think the biggest thing is corruption. Like, in order for the country, because we know the greatest minds come from Nigeria, we see people who leave Nigeria and come to the US to do great things. And the problem is that the people who are in charge are so focused on power and money that they're not thinking about their constituents. They're not thinking about the citizens of Nigeria. They're not thinking about distributing wealth or making things more affordable or making education more affordable or even protecting their people. It's so important to them to just retain power and get as much money as possible. And that's a global thing. Like, that's why politics all across the world, the US included, has the struggles that it has. And none of us are as progressed as we should be or progressive as we should be, because money has such a chokehold on the powerful in Nigeria. So until money is removed from politics, or until there are certain checks and balances in place to where you can't accept money, because that's honestly what I think should be the solution. There should be free and fair elections. Anybody should be able to run. It shouldn't just be the wealthy who are able to run, and people shouldn't be able to accept bribes in order to get certain policies passed. And that's pretty much the primary problem in Nigeria right now. So once the corruption is handled, then real progress can be made. But until then, it won't ever change.
That's good. That's very true. Anybody want to add to that? Emeka, okay. Chinemeze, go ahead.
You're good. It's on you. Am I muted? Yeah, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Oh.
Auntie?
Chinemeze, you're on. We're waiting to hear your comment. Go ahead.
Oh, it was me. All right, sorry. What I think is another problem too that Nigerians are facing today is open-mindedness, because you can't expect other African Americans to come from the U.S. and expect to adapt heavily based on what their expectations of a person should be. Like when we went to Nigeria the last year, Amara, she was wearing a tank top. Now it's hot in Nigeria, you know, it's really hot, and I understand that for a tourist from a different country that's not usually used to this sort of climate in Nigeria to dress like that. I mean, it's pretty regular, but people around the community were having all their little like faces and giving her faces just because what she was wearing there. So I honestly think that there should be also a level of understanding that, you know, we aren't all the same all around the world, and this is mainly towards the older generation. I mean, the younger generations, they're fully open and everything. But I mean, towards the older generations, like people are changing, times are changing, people are just different now, and you know, we're just not that pre-image that we were once before. So I just think that there should just be a little bit of a level of open-mindedness just towards different people, and them being more accepting to other social issues that we have too. So that's just another problem that I think of.
Very good. Anyone else want to add to that? Let me see your hand so I know. Emeka, go ahead.
All right, yeah. So I just wanted to add on what I was saying. Because as you see, you know, some people, um, like for example, there's like a CNN video about, you know, how Nigeria is not a priority right now, and it's like you got to realize that no one else is gonna fix what we have but us. So I feel like if we just realize that, and like not everyone, because not everyone feels the same. So we got to have our love for our country and our people and our ecosystem and society. And I feel like from there, things can actually truly change in the future or in the near future.
Thank you, Emeka. Thank you. I want to ask, I think, Magnus, you had your hands, and after you.
I'm sorry. No, you can go ahead.
There's a question I want to ask after.
Okay. I think one of the biggest problems too is representation in politics and government. We need our voices heard as well, but you know that also takes a platform, and none of us not really have a platform like you and the family does. So our voices, like how we're speaking now, cannot be heard. So one way our voices can be heard is if more young people take part in elections with this mindset. So more people taking part in elections in government can actually put those policies through, because with a corrupt government, you can't put those policies through because they don't want those policies to pass. They want to keep getting their money. They are not self-interested, but selfish. And selfishness feeds off of the what's it called? The ignorance. So if you stay ignorant, you're not going to move anywhere.
Good point. Somebody did ask this question. I want you guys to jump on that. Tribalism. What role do you think tribalism is playing on our ability to move forward as a country? What somebody want to address that? Who wants to address that?
I think I'll address that for a little bit.
Okay. Chinemeze, I've got you on.
I think it's on you. Yeah.
I think
Chinemeze, all of you, please do not unmute yourselves. I will unmute you if I need to, so that when I call you, you're able to jump in. Okay.
Okay.
What I think
unless I hear this music. Okay, go.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go right ahead.
What I think tribalism has to play. Is there someone like an echo?
What I think tribalism is.
Chinemeze,
What I
let me.
think tribalism, like,
Chinemeze, I'm going to mute you for a minute and see if it's coming from you, okay?
All right.
Okay. Anybody want to address that? Why Chinemeze handles that issue back there? Who wants to talk about the fact that tribalism could really be a problem? Nobody wants to address that?
Oh, I'll address that.
Okay. We've got
yeah, tribalism is a big issue, because I'm gonna relate it to what's going on here or what has been going on here in America, because I don't necessarily know too much exactly how tribalism affects Nigeria, but I know the two do coincide. But here in the United States, it's a type of tribalism mindset, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like Africans that came from, the mainland have a problem with Africans that have been here since, the forced slavery of, our people. And it's like we don't even look at each other as one. We look at each other as two separate beings. And I think that is a big problem regarding our race as a whole. So that can have multiple repercussions all the way around.
somebody made a comment that we're very selfish. Does anybody agree with that? Are Nigerians selfish?
Yes.
Yeah, so Nigerians aren't selfish.
Nigerians are really
So Nigerians aren't selfish. It's just a matter of holding for their own. I think it's more of like they want to build themselves up and have the image of being the best Nigerian, the best African race, But as far as that goes, there's so much potential in Nigeria. It's unbelievable how much potential there is in Nigeria. It's overshadowed by the beauty of it is overshadowed by the corruption and the lack of infrastructure. Because if you just
come on, let me ask you a question. I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you and Chinemeze in the same room?
Yes.
Okay, that's the problem.
Yeah, one of y'all just got to move each other.
One of you has to move elsewhere. That's the problem. Okay, I'll come back to you. I'll give someone else a chance to address that. Who wants to go? Emeka, did you raise your hand?
No.
Okay.
I do, Auntie. Hold on.
I want to address it because I was the one that did make that comment about selfishness, but I was talking more not about the Nigerian people in a sense, but government, people in government that represent us. If you have a person in government in Nigeria that is selfish and does not really care too much for the people and he cares for his own pockets, he's a representation of who? The people. So in order for it to change that, we need to have more people that really, really are, they really do want to contribute to the wealth and well-being of, their people. So, and also there's a big difference between self-interested and selfish. Self-interested is somebody like us. We all have interests that at mine, but it's like the interest we have, we put it ahead of our general goals and whatnot, if that makes sense. I don't know.
But is selfishness totally wrong? When is selfishness an okay thing? When is it okay to be selfish? Amani?
I think it's important to be selfish. In order to protect yourself, in order to succeed, it is important to be selfish to a certain extent. Where it gets bad is when it's at the detriment to somebody else. It's important to, again, focus on yourself, have your goals, work hard, make sure that you can provide for yourself and protect yourself. But when you do that at the expense of somebody else, when you start to have dominion over someone else, or when you start to hurt people in order to get further, that's where the line is crossed. you shouldn't want, or you shouldn't be okay with your success coming at, you know, somebody else's pain. So once you start thinking, like, as far as politics are concerned, once you take that position, once you become a leader, a political leader, yes, you're getting paid for the job regardless. So that yourself is already taken care of in that instance. But once you start to pass policies that you know aren't for the betterment of your people, once you start to do things that you know won't help them, won't protect them, that's when your selfishness becomes an issue. So
You know why? Thank you very much. Why I thought it was really important to raise that issue is you, at some point you're going to have to be selfish, because by us not being selfish, we continue to embrace things that are foreign to us, okay, and does not contribute to our own development. You know,
right.
we take other people's way of life, and then we abandon our way of life. Talk about that. Talk about that. And that's kind of part of what Pan-Africanism is. You know, building yourself or being responsible for your own growth or lack thereof. Who wants to address that? I think Chinemeze is raising his hand. Chinemeze, go ahead. Chinemeze, go ahead. Okay, Chinemeze is not ready right now. Who would like to address that? Amani?
I just growing up here in the US, a lot of African Americans don't want to, like, accept the fact that they came from Africa. Like, that's a issue. Like, even growing up, I used to, you know, get made fun of for having, like, my last name, or it was just like, oh, you African, you not black. And it's like, we're all black, we're all African, like, we are the same. Like, yes, we can come from different states. Yes, you may have been born and raised here, but you gotta remember where you came from. Like, a lot of times people try to separate African Americans and Africans, and there's like some sort of battle between one and, you know, they pretty much pit them against each other. And I think that's also a problem for our development. It's like, we need to all understand that we are the same. Like, we're all African. Yes, you were born here in America. I was born here in America, but I have a parent that immigrated here. Like, we all have an African background. And once we stop trying to separate ourselves and be like, you're not one of us, or you're not black, or that's once we can all get on the same page, we can make some real progress.
Very good. Do you think that we support ourselves? Do you think Africans support each other? Do you?
I think so.
Is that an important component in us, in our development, that we support not just our own things but each other?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that we don't do that? And if we don't do that, in what area do you see that a lot?
In Dallas specifically, I see that the African community is very strong here, and they support each other a lot. Like, they all go to church together. They have meetings. You know, like, it's a really, really strong Nigerian community here in Dallas. So I do think that we support each other, but again, it's to what extent. Like, I feel like the regular people support each other and uplift each other, but again, those people in power are not doing that. And at the end of the day, that's where the power lies. You know, we can only do so much on the ground supporting each other, uplifting each other, but when the people in Nigeria are creating policies and when they're governing people, if they don't have us in mind, if they are not supporting us, if they are not willing to uplift us, then nothing can be done.
Very good. Very true. Let me ask you this question. For those of you who have studied Nigeria, is there one Nigeria? Is there one group and another group? What are the two groups mainly that divide Nigeria? Who knows that?
Igbos.
Magnus?
Yes. I know one of the tribes are Igbo, and the other one is, I can't think of the name right now. But it's Igbo Nigerians, and somebody help me out, please. Anybody?
Was it
The Hausa,
Yoruba?
you talking about the
Yes,
Hausa?
Yoruba. I'm like, oh, I'm having a brain fart
Yeah.
too. Yoruba.
No one can hear me. No one
I can
Yeah,
hear
we
you
can
now.
we can hear you. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Finally, I've been struggling with this mic since I don't know. So there's not one Nigeria. This is how it technically is. There's Yoruba nation, Hausa nation, Igbo nation. That's how I see it in my perspective. Because like the answer that you asked before, I mean, Nigerians don't help each other. Us Africans, Nigerians, we don't help each other. We create separate economies based on our tribes. And even the Igbos, we don't even support other Igbos because we see ourselves as different from other Igbo people. So I honestly think that there isn't one Nigeria because we have biases. We have too many biases against each other. How we think Yoruba people are cowards, while the Hausa man is just a farmer or a poor man, and the Igbo man is a businessman and he doesn't care for anybody else but just money. So honestly, Nigeria is split up into pieces, and it's more of an amalgamation than a unit in whole. So I honestly think that there isn't really a Nigeria there. We've had a civil war against the Igbos versus the other tribes. So that didn't go out good, and then there's just a huge hate for Igbo people, and that still goes to this day. So honestly, in my opinion, I don't really think there's one country called Nigeria, especially other Africans. I mean, we have a tradition to create bags called Ghana Must Go because we want Ghanaians to leave our country. I mean, that's really toxic towards Ghanaian people that we have a celebration and a culture where we create bags to run out Ghanaian people. So I honestly think that African people, since they're doing all these things, they even create more biases with other nations, with different other Africans. Nigerians and Africans, they're not really helping each other out. It's more of like every man for themselves in Nigeria. That makes sense.
We've touched about the fact that you have the different tribes. What about the different religions? How about how religion is playing a role in the disconnection, or is it? Is it?
It absolutely does.
Okay, who's okay? Let me give somebody else. Okay, Amani.
Sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, religion absolutely does. So many people who are heavily religious or aren't willing to do some reflecting and be open-minded when it comes to religion, when it comes to spirituality, they have a certain disdain for people who don't think like them. And I feel like that's what holds people back a lot too. It's because they're so trapped in their way of thinking, and anything that challenges that.
You're on mute.
Anything that challenges that is seen as demonic, or, from hell, or you're gonna go to hell, or you're gonna be punished in some way for questioning how you were brought up or questioning certain spiritual ideologies. So yeah, I think that and I think certain religions were made for that purpose, so that you wouldn't question certain things, or so that you would be fearful of knowing the truth about certain things. So yeah, I definitely think it plays a part.
Well, let me ask you, if I may talk a little bit more about that. Your grandfather, I'm sure that many of you are you're well learned in terms of who your grandfather is. What do you know about what he's trying to do, what he tried to do while he was alive, and what we're trying to do in terms of our spirituality, in terms of having Africans embrace their spirituality? It's not a matter of there's something wrong with your spirituality, but there's nothing wrong with ours. What are your thoughts on that? What is your grandfather's legacy? What did you think he was trying to do? Who wants to address that? Emeka? I mean, Chinemeze.
Could Emeka speak? Because he's been trying to speak.
All right. So, what I was saying about religion, well, I guess I could just answer your question. Might as well. Basically, I feel like simply he was trying to make like everyone think logically in a sense to realize that everyone is different and you got to embrace for where you come from, because it's kind of like where it's like, like the Chinese with Buddhism and India with Hinduism and etc. But what do we have? We got on our culture, and it's like going back before when Auntie you were saying about everyone's embracing other type of lifestyles when we should be embracing our styles instead, because that's what makes us unique and people like uniqueness. So that's what I feel like. And I feel like what he was trying to do in general was to make you feel proud of your Africanness. And because everyone likes that, because even for me as an African in America, people love my uniqueness. They love that I love being African. I embrace it without apologizing. So I feel like that's what it is.
Say it again, son. Very good. Very good. Anybody else want to add to that?
Yes, I would like to add to that. When I was talking about before, somebody mentioned it earlier. It's like they said whenever they would in school they get made fun of for having a different name, but it was the same for me. Krakue. You could just imagine like all the different types of names I would get called in school, and like really. But it's after over time, I grew up, and it's like you understand yourself more and understand where that name came from, and it's like, okay, my granddad, he was a very, very, very well known journalist, and I took pride in that, and I was just naturally growing up a good writer. I love writing research papers, and so it's like you have to just as you grow, you just learn about yourself more and more and more instead of just taking in what people think about you. See what you can gain from what your ancestors left behind, because I think that is one of the most strongest traits is what your ancestors left for you to pick up. So I just think that's important.
And thank you very much. And one of the things that is imperative that young people understand, you can't complain about what other people are doing to you when you continue to allow it to be done to you. Mm-hmm. It isn't what you're called, it's what you answer to. That's the problem.
Exactly, yeah.
Words cannot kill you. What will kill you are stones. You see what I'm saying? So we cannot blame anyone for what they think about us when we are the one accepting that. Yeah. Am I right or wrong?
You're right.
You have a responsibility to define yourself. Speak for yourself. Who you are is not based on anyone else's thoughts. It is who you are by your own definition. And what I see a lot is, okay, like, for instance, if you look at Facebook, let me go to Facebook. If you're talking about something about your Africanness, who you are, you don't hardly get any likes. But the minute you type amen, you get amen, 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 amen. You don't even have to say anything. People just don't want to talk about who they are. And so let me ask you, as a young Nigerian, knowing fully well, we had an opportunity. We went to Nigeria and we went to the store. Chinemeze was trying to ask the name of that store, and right now I can't even think of it. But we went to the store and there were all these dolls, all these white dolls. Mm-hmm. And this black man is buying these white dolls for his daughters. So I looked at that picture, and I had an African-American woman who went with me. I looked at that picture and I'm asking myself, do I shut up or do I say something? Now, it's okay for children to collect dolls, right? Because they want to have a collection. But if she's buying that doll because she feels that doll is preferable to that which looks like her, it is not the white person you blame for that. It's you, Dad. Mm-hmm. You're training that kid to think less of herself.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts on that? I want somebody to jump in here.
Okay.
Okay, Imani.
Anti-Blackness and colorism as well is rampant all across the world, and it's just because the Western ideals of beauty is what's the popularized, and it's what people see. Like, a lot of people, when they get on their TVs all across the world, they can't find African representation at all. They can't turn on the television and see a comedy TV show with a Black cast, or they can't watch a horror movie or a romantic comedy with two Black love interests in it. Like, it's so rampant all across the world that Blackness is not acceptable or, quote, marketable or palatable for people. And so that's how you even have white dolls being sold in Nigeria. Like, it sounds crazy that that there are no Black dolls available for the children to even choose, but that just shows you how Western beauty and Western standards have been spread all across the world and made to be the more preferable standard.
That's right. And Chinemeze says something last week that I still find so amusing, but it's the truth. And he was talking about how the elders are really part of the problem. You know, when we teach our children not to love themselves, what do we expect?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to love themselves. And going back to that doll issue, by the time we were done with that gentleman, he told that baby, put that doll back. I say, you telling her, I mean, she's not going to have a baby that looks like that. Mm-hmm. So, and then the unfortunate thing, we went to the store and we told the store that you need to put some dolls that look like these babies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so this is part of the problem. And it takes me to another topic I want you to address. Why do you think, or why would you believe that the African youth is underserved? And I'm not just talking about Nigeria, right? Because throughout Africa, really. Why are Africans not investing in youth? Why is it okay to kill youth? Why is it okay for our youth? It's not even the elders that are getting killed. Well, some of them, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But there's such nonchalance about killing a young person. I put there was a video that's showing all these young people lying down, and the police was whipping them like they were not human beings. So this raises this question that I want you to answer. SARS. Does anybody know what SARS is?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Chinemeze.
Yeah. This one, like, all right, this one, like, this is my opinion. I honestly think it all stems back at home, because the way Nigerian people treat other Nigerians in front of their children is very interesting. Like let's say you get a maid or something, you'll see a Nigerian lady think poorly of a maid, and she'll treat her with disrespect. Same with restaurants. Whenever you go to like different restaurants and stuff, you see like the way an average Nigerian person treats another Nigerian person. It's really astonishing. Like they're openly rude, and it's like a normal thing. It's like a norm to be rude to other people in Nigeria. Unless if you're white or you're just a different nationality, it seems like a norm to be just rude to other Nigerian people. And I honestly think that it doesn't just stem with the police or how they see the younger generations. Usually the younger generation that is looked at as less important, and the older generation of people as more important. If you see like different kids and how they're treated, there are kids who are bartenders who are actually selling cigarette packets to adults who smoke. They're like giving adults everything. They're just like, they seem like the little underdog of everything in Nigeria's situation. It's just really interesting, because I don't think it just SARS just came up with a mentality of just shooting young people. Usually young people are sometimes treated, or most times treated, poorly in Nigeria itself. Young people are usually the foolish ones. No one's really ever uplifting younger generations. You know, just the older generation is the precious age group out of Nigeria. Like you never really see young people given like any slack cut off for them, you know, just how they're interacted with every day. I just think that's what fuels the SARS police to shoot young people, because they're regarded as more not useless but lesser than them, you know, just the way Nigerian people and Nigerian parents and just how everyday activities, just how they interact with each other. I think that's the main issue here. Sorry if I'm just rambling on, but that's just how I
No,
see
no.
it,
The
and I'm just
idea
trying
is
to
for
get
you
it
to
for.
speak your mind. And one of the things that for you young people, do you feel that in school, and when I went to school in Nigeria, my books didn't have anything to do with me. I learned about Vasco da Gama. I learned about Christopher Columbus. I mean, come on. I learned about everything other than what I should be learning about, you know? So that tells you that the young people, African people are not, young Africans are not being programmed, are not being taught to be leaders, but followers. Would you agree with that? If you're not taught about yourself or something that
Yeah.
will help you to work in your environment, uplift your environment, are you really being educated or miseducated? Who wants to attack that?
I go. Yeah, you are being miseducated. You're completely correct. You know, teaching is a way of programming. Like that's just the way it is. You know, it's just the civilized way of saying, okay, this is the norms that you know we live by and go by, and you know and whatnot. But if those norms, if those people that you're learning about don't look like you start to question, is this even my place? Is this my place I should be in? And I think that's where more of the disconnect comes from as well, too, with in Nigeria and a lot of places alike. Like, for instance, my parents they're not from Nigeria, they're from Liberia, and just like Nigeria, they have had their takes on civil war and whatnot, and that's the reason my parents are here now, because of the bloody civil war back in the 90s with Samuel Kanyado and Charles Taylor. Those were some evil human beings, and it started all because people did not listen and learn about the history, because this was not the first civil war. If that had been in the history books and really taught for it not to be not to happen again, then that civil war might not have ever happened, because people would have had the knowledge as to why it happened and why it came into fruition in the beginning. So
okay, thank you. I want to ask a question about the colonial mentality. What is that?
Colonial mentality?
Yes, what is that?
In my own words, I'm gonna say it's sort of like a conditioning of the mind to say, okay, you forget about where your ancestors are from. Yes, you are Black, but in America here, most people are white. Okay, and this is what you're going to learn. You're not going to learn about you being Black. You're going to learn about us. You're going to learn about us. You're not going to learn about yourself. I think that's what colonialism really stems from.
Thank you very much. Anybody want to add to that? What is colonial mentality to you?
I think colonial mentality is more like what Magnus said. I think it's conditioning on the subconscious, because let's say, I think a good way for them to ever strip somebody out of their identity is just killing the parents, where the parents usually express their culture and who they are onto the children to build up their own mentality and build up to know where they're from. And I think the colonial mentality is just conditioning on the subconscious, just basically what Magnus said. So yeah.
Thank you, Chinemeze. Emeka. Emeka, you want to contribute to that?
Mm-hmm. So my definition of of this is basically a forceful way of putting someone's ideology onto others without considering the fact that, like, without empathy, I could say. Because the thing is about it, I mean, it's kind of like what Magnus was saying. It's just basically because you got to understand, people, like I said before, people are different and they come from different backgrounds. But yeah, basically, it's not really right to really just force what you believe in onto someone else for them to know, even though it, to be honest, might not be relevant to that person. But yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Anybody want to add to that? I want to ask this question. Somebody here indicates that we, the elders, have the power of decision making, and they're not making the right decisions, and consequently, the country suffers. You can't blame it on the youth, because there's this notion that Nigerian youth are lost. They are troublesome. They are antagonists and all that. Do you buy that? Why are the Nigerian youth angry? And that, I think that will segue into the SARS problem. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about why the Nigerian youth are up in arms right now, angry in the streets. Why? I want you, each one of you, to give me the specific reason why they are angry, and put yourself in that position. If you were there, how would you feel? What would make you angry? What would make you angry about SARS? Let me give you an example. There was a gentleman who has a brand new car. He's young. He's a musician. And he has a brand new car. So they didn't believe that was his car, even though he showed them that he just bought the car. They didn't believe it, right? And they started beating him. Now, the anger is something as simple as that. It's not even a serious reason to beat someone. But they just beat you because you're youth, because you're defenseless, you don't have a voice. So these young people are just, hey, if you're not going to listen to us, we're just going to, I don't want to use the word, but you know what I mean. We're just going to take it all the way. Amani, you want to add to that? Yes?
There's a saying that says rioting is the voice of the unheard. So I feel like at this point, the youth, they're furious because we have access to knowledge in ways that generations before us never have. So we can get on the internet and see. I saw a video of SARS officers. They hog-tied a young man and were roasting him over an open flame. They were literally twirling his body as he was hog-tied to a log over a flame. Seeing stuff like that can anger you in ways that you've never imagined, because it's like, what is going on here? And that police brutality is a problem in Nigeria. It's a problem all across the world, because people get in these positions of power and lose their minds. There's like experiments. There's one experiment that happened at a high school, and they told one group of students that they were prison guards, and then they told the other group of students that they were prisoners. And they selected these people at random. There were no preconceived indicators that the assignments would make a person act a certain way. But literally, as soon as the students who were told that they were prison guards were told that, they started to harass, they started to treat the prisoners a certain way, even though they're all students. This is just an experiment that was going on over the course of a week. But just some people, just when they are told that they have a certain level of power, they start to use that and abuse it. And that's really the problem here, is that people we have eyes, we have access to the internet, everybody can see what's going on, and you can't see something like that and not be angered and not want something to change behind it.
Very true, very true. Anybody else want to add to what Amani has said? Magnus,
Yes.
Go ahead.
I look at SARS as like the SWAT team of basically Nigeria, you know, but it's like, should a police force meant to govern over, not govern, but look over its citizens locally, is that supposed to really be used as a force for just random or just traffic stops, for instance? You know, that is a terrible recipe for disaster, because that is giving too much power to one type of entity. You know, it's like this, they have so many weapons, and it's just like this, what's going on here in the United States. The SWAT team broke into this guy's house, and all he was doing was washing his dog. They broke into his house, and he was washing his dog. But the reason they broke into his house, and he was angry, he was videotaping the whole thing. The reason they broke into his house was because a neighbor called the cops. This was after I heard that story. A few days later, I saw something on the news about Nigeria, and this young man was just standing up observing the cops, and all of a sudden stray bullets come his way. He was observing the riots, and he was minding his business. He wasn't partaking within the riot, but he was shot by the police, shot dead by these SARS officers, and they had no explanation, nothing to give to his family for why he was shot. So
I feel like the purpose of policing globally, Nigeria here, has been lost. I feel like people, whatever the initial, well, I can speak for America. The roots of policing in America came from slave patrols. So it had nefarious roots to begin with. And then they tried to reform it somehow and make it something that it's supposed to be to protect and serve. That's what it became. But the roots were nefarious to begin with. And policing, honestly, the way that it is now, it does not have a place in society because it's not protecting or serving anyone. I don't think police should exist anymore at this point. I think that we should have different government entities in place that can be called for certain things. And police power has become vastly applied to any and every situation. If you go outside and you forgot to put your trash on the curb on the wrong day, somebody can call the cops on you. Like if just here recently in Philadelphia, a man was gunned down because he was having a mental health episode, and his family called 911. They called the ambulance to come take him to the hospital, but the police came and shot him dead in front of his mother. It's not making sense. What police are supposed to do, they're not doing it at all. And it just we're at a point where this is something that can't be reformed. The videos that I'm seeing, the abuse that I'm seeing, the brutality, I'm seeing videos of officers both in Nigeria and America just walking up to people and butting them in the head with their guns. Like they've lost it. And at this point, this isn't something that can be reformed. It's not something that can be repaired. It needs to be dismantled completely. And we need to come together as a society and think about different ways that can actually protect citizens, the different entities, different government agencies that we can come up with that do what they're supposed to do, because police officers are not doing it. At this point, they are the abusers. They are the people that are murdering people. They are the ones that are raping people. In America, there are so many cases of police officers raping women. Women getting pulled over for traffic stops and police telling you to pull down your panties. I think you might have drugs in there. And they're like, no, I don't. And then you're getting assaulted by officers. Like we've gotten to a point where this just needs to be completely dismantled and ended, because there's no way to fix that. Because
that is, and to add to that comment, in Nigeria, a lot of those SARS, supposedly they've dismantled it, but they are not paid well. So this is their way of making money for themselves by stopping people taking their money and then taking some of that money for their bosses. So I mean, it's a nightmare. And even though they say that they've dismantled it, I understand they've replaced it with something, well, that's not any better. So it is really imperative that young people continue to speak up, It's not going to go away when you say, well, we've tried. And if you look at here in the United States, the Black Lives Matter, they did not give up. They continued, even in the midst of COVID. Your voice can only be heard if you speak up. Nobody is interested in your well-being if you don't demand it.
Right.
You have, as young people, you've got the responsibility to speak up and out. Do not be scared to the extent that you become passive. If you don't agree with something, then say you don't agree with it. Don't shake your head and walk away. There's a video that's trending right now of a guy who went to a restaurant and they would not serve him. This is an old, yeah, you probably saw that. They would not serve him because he has tennis shoes on. Well, there was a white woman with tennis shoes on. But it was okay for her to be there. They ordered him out. They made such a big issue that the man said, well, I've got tennis shoes on, but she does as well. And even the boss who came out had tennis shoes on. So some people were saying, oh, just go and support a Black business. Yes, we must do that. But it doesn't mean that we ignore something that's obviously discriminatory. And I want to ask you, each one of you, hold 1 second. I want each one of you to please offer. Now, because of time constraints, we can't talk all day long, even as much as I want to talk all day long, because you got so much to say. I'm so excited about you. When I think about tomorrow, I know tomorrow is going to be better because young people like you are speaking up. You're not afraid. There's nothing really that you want that you cannot have without, if you put your mind to it and if you use your voice. So I want each one of you, we're going to do this again because we didn't cover everything due to time constraints, but I want each one of you to give me an ending statement, okay, of what you think. Where do we go from here? Based on, we talked about so many things, but where do we go from here? What must we do now? And as far as you're concerned, what can you initiate? It's not enough to talk about it. What can you do? Even in your own little way, what can you do? There's a young man who was selling candy because he's 6 years old. 6 years old. He's out there selling candy because there were too many people who were hungry. So he went to the dollar store raided his piggy bag, took some money, went to the dollar store and bought candy. Well, candy won't feed anybody, but as far as he was concerned, he was doing something. So each one of you will get a chance right now to tell me, what would you do as a Nigerian, knowing what's going on there, and also an American, because you're Nigerian Americans as well. What can you do with your voice, with your effort, with whatever it is your aspirations are? What is it you can contribute to make Nigeria and your community here in the United States where you live a better place? I'm going to start with Amani.
I think the first thing that we can do is, like I said earlier, continue to give this stuff a platform. Do not get complacent. Do not, once you see something that's not trending on social media, don't just go to the next topic. Like, be somebody who is putting the Nigerian country under a constant microscope and use your voice to shed light on what's going on and just continue to fight. That's probably one of the best ways that you can do something like that and make change. That's how most of all of our political revolutions have began, is because so many people were talking about it to the point where it can no longer be ignored and action had to be taken. So as long as we continue to fight and use our voices, I think that's our best bet to start getting real change done.
Thank you so much, Amani. Magnus?
Yes, like I said before, something as simple as talking about it. The next time you're hanging out with your friends, playing video games online, just, break into a conversation, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour, just while y'all playing, talk about it. Just raise awareness and make those people that you are hanging out with aware that these things happen too, because a lot of people really aren't aware. But that's one of the biggest ways you can do without even having to spend money. You don't have to spend money to talk to your neighbor, you know. So the next time you're hanging out with your friends, your close friends, your buddies, you know, your pals, just call, or not call, but talk to them about what's going on in the world and get their opinion as well, because their opinion matters just as much, even if they're not Nigerian or Liberian or African. You know, if they're American, they're same as well. Get their opinion on it. The biggest thing is just for people to start talking about it, and that's where it starts.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Chinemeze?
Well, honestly, I'm just paying attention. Like I'm like trying to take in like what everybody's saying. So, you know, I know what to do next time. I don't really have anything. I was just taking in the information.
You contributed. Chinemeze. Thank you very much. Now, Emeka.
What happened? Oh, okay, cool. All right, so, oh man, all right, yeah, like what Magnus was saying, you know, because me and my friend, we just playing video games, and randomly we'll talk about that, but then at the same time we'll also talk about what's important, and we'll just talk about for hours and hours. So engaging with other people is definitely the way. Um, I would like to also say, I guess, just for food for thought, like everything changes constantly, even every day, every second. It's not going to stay the same. I just hope that certain people who decide that youth is like not really, I guess, I don't know, very efficient in their own eyes or in their way, you got to understand you don't live forever. They're going to live past you. You got to leave a legacy. You can't just leave them, because then there's no legacy. There's no generation. It's non-existent. And so for what I currently doing, as I said it a few times, I personally share just information, just random thoughts I have in my mind. Like I have a YouTube channel, you know, I have like 2 currently, because I'm about to I'm gonna send to y'all later. But basically, I like to inform people about things, because I don't know, it not only makes me feel good, but I want to make others feel good as well, and just feel like a love vibration, if you get what I mean. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Emeka, thank you so very much. They were 2 individuals who were supposed to be on this call. Unfortunately, they could not get in. They were calling from Nigeria, so they had technical issues. This is always something to anticipate, but it's okay. Those of you who were able to join this conversation, and I hope you don't mind, I would like to invite you again. You guys were awesome. You were awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud to be your aunt. I'm just sitting there saying, oh my God, the future looks so good. Look at these guys. And my brand new nephew, I am so proud of all of you. And we're going to have this conversation continuously, because we can't stop. We have to keep talking. And so let me end by saying this. The most powerful tool, and some of you have heard it over and over and over, in the hands of an oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. It's not about your car. It's not about your house. It's not about your money. It's not about your girlfriend. It's not about your boyfriend. It's not about anything but your mind. Because their mind can latch on to anything that it's fed over a period of time. Mm-hmm. So it's not so much what you were fed, it's what you ate. Mm-hmm. Did you drink it down with water? Did you spit it out? It is nobody's responsibility but yours to say to your mind, this is what I'm willing to accept, and this is what I'm not willing to accept. And most importantly, the future is in your hands. The future is in your hands. Nobody can do for us but you. Us elders, at some point, we're going to move on. Mm-hmm. Our hope is always to leave a legacy. But you are the ones that will carry on. Mm-hmm. Through what you're studying, you're going to apply it to make the world a better place. Nigeria is your home. Liberia is your home. Africa is your home. Here in the United States is your home as well. So as you're getting older, and as you're venturing further and further into things that you want to do, what your life is going to take shape to become, make sure that you take into consideration what role you are going to play in the whole scheme of things to make our world a better place. It has been a pleasure speaking with you guys, and I look forward to another session with you. Thank you so very much, and you have a wonderful day. Okay, Messia?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.